World gas reserves increased by 0.9% last year, driven by the United States, Nigeria, and Iraq. This is according to a newly released World Oil and Gas Review by Italian oil major Eni. The report, which was released on Wednesday, says Russia remains the top holder of gas reserves with 25% of the world's total. Nigeria was ranked 9th among the world top 10 gas reserves holders with 5,475 trillion cubic meters as of December 31, 2016, up from 5,284 cubic meters in 2015. Now, what does this mean for the country? Let's talk to a research analyst with financial derivatives company, Damilare Adeshola. Good afternoon, Damilare. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Chimize.
So Nigeria has been ranked 9th among the world top 10 gas reserves holders. What does this mean for us?
Well, this is actually not new information. So Nigeria has been among the top ranking gas reserves in the world. So this is not something that is new. But what this just does is it serves as a reminder that the gas sector is currently being underutilized and is operating below its capacity. And so since from the time of oil exploration, we are aware of the fact that Nigeria holds very, very large gas reserves, but not much has been done towards investing in that sector and bringing production up onto its potential. So that's just what it just serves. It just serves as a reminder, basically.
Now, part of your headlines on your report says Nigeria's power output is down sharply again from 497,000 megawatts to 3,409 megawatts per hour, owing to mainly gas constraints. Isn't this an irony, really?
Well, yes, but then there needs to be differentiation between gas reserves. So gas reserves refer to your capacity, refers to your deficit, your natural deficit, while gas production is what is actually being produced, your output. And so while we have great potential to be producing much more than we are, we find that we are currently below our potential and our capacity. But that being said, GenCos as well. So the problems with GenCos right now, with the gas constraints, is really an issue of distribution. So from where it is drilled, from where it is pumped, from where the gas is extracted, to getting to the users, so that like the GenCos. So that there's with the pipelines, the dilapidation of the pipelines. So there are a lot of different things in line with that. And so even despite the engaging of the militants, we still find that the infrastructure issues come up. And so there's a whole lot of loss from when it comes from the producers to the end users, which are the GenCos. And that now results in a dip in power output.
Now, what are the key challenges you see Nigeria having in tapping from its gas reserves?
I think the main one, especially now that one that we were facing was security. But now that is the militants have been abated and are being engaged, another one is popping up. So it's an issue of infrastructure, and so we find that the infrastructure that is there is worn out. It's not only worn out and dilapidated, but it's old and it's not new technology. So I think that is a main constraint for tapping into the potential that we could possibly be operating at, and so that's something that the authorities need to just bear in mind.
And of course, many believe Nigeria's natural gas has some kind of potentials of becoming Nigeria's new oil and major source of revenue. Do you share that same view?
Yes, definitely. It holds a potential for us as a source of export revenue, but it's important to note that gas is also a commodity, an energy commodity, and so just like oil, its price is determined by global dynamics. So if one of the top suppliers decides to ramp up production, there's going to be a plunge in prices, or if one of our top buyers of our gas decides to hold back, or maybe is having warmer weather and doesn't need it as much, then we're going to again find a dip in prices. So as much as yes, it does hold the potential for export revenue, it is something that we'll be looking to diversify away from markets where we are the price takers, and looking to more sustainable, more less vulnerable markets to invest in and to focus on.
Now, what policies do you think are needed to really harness these potentials that Nigeria has in terms of gas reserves?
I think an important policy would be investment policy because, I mean, there's so much that the government can do on its own. It needs, first, in the domestic investments with PPP, private-public partnerships, as well as foreign direct investments. So we need, we've seen with the Doing Business Index there's a lot that is going on already to make the environment, the business environment in Nigeria much more friendly than it is. But there needs to be some more done so that the Nigeria becomes very, very an attractive center, an attractive destination for investment. So I think that investment policy is something that the government needs to hone down on and concentrate on in order to boost the potential in the gas sector.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Damilare. Damilare Adeshola is one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company here in Lagos. In the meantime, in Mozambique, Norwegian fertilizer maker Yara International is considering building a $2 billion plant and may seek partners to share the costs. Mozambique awarded Yara a project in January to make ammonia and urea from the country's gas output, saying the firm could produce up to 1.3 million metric tons of fertilizers annually. The fertilizer project has seen limited progress so far and has no construction time frame, but discussions on a development program were continuing. If developed, Yara will be able to use between 80 million and 80 million cubic feet and 90 million cubic feet of natural gas per day to produce ammonia and urea. In addition to making fertilizers, the site will have a power plant with capacity of 50 megawatts. Mozambique wants to reduce fertilizer imports, which are now vital for its agricultural industry, and replace them with local products made from its natural gas resources. And the chief executive and chief financial officers of Acacia Mining have resigned, and the company has appointed temporary replacements in the midst of negotiations to end the long-running dispute with the Tanzanian government. Acacia chairman Kevin Doskin said the company would fully support its management team while seeking a resolution to the dispute in Tanzania. And to global oil market, prices held steady today as U.S. crude inventories fell despite a rise in production, while outside the United States, an OPEC-led supply cut continued to tighten the market. Brent futures, the international benchmark for oil prices, were at $60.52 per barrel from their last close. Brent has risen by more than a third since its 2017 lows last June. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $54.26 a barrel, down 4 cents from the last settlement, but still some 30% above its 2017 low in June. Confidence has been fueled by an effort this year led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Russia to hold back about 1.8 million barrels per day in oil production to tighten markets.